Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today we'll start the Sanhedrin daf Gimel. We're going to begin on Gimel Amud Aleph, 5 lines from the top. So we were learning, as we began our Masechta just yesterday, that when it comes to the laws of Dini Mamonis, it's 3. However, not so when it comes to Halvais and Hoidois, when it comes to loans. Now, we established that certainly it can't mean that you don't need 3 judges. You need 3 judges for that as well. However, you don't need mumchin. You don't need experts. Mash'ein kain. Our Mishnah is talking about a case where you need mumchin. So Gemara says, Yihachi tarti katani. So then our Mishnah really, instead of just excluding hodos vavos, could have just mentioned and said like this: the dini mamnas b'shloisha hedyoitais. That when it comes to other matters like hodos vavos, you can have a court of 3, but it can even be simple, regular people. And Gazelos Chavos, there's more difficult, more specific laws. And as we saw in yesterday's daf, that the Iker Psukim are found there. It says V'nikru Bal Bais Elokim, which is mashma experts, and therefore mumchin. So maybe we just read the Mishnah like that. Oh, furthermore, Shlosh Shlosh Lamli. Why does our Mishnah say 3 and then 3, right? Doesn't make sense that way. So look at Rashi. So again, maybe that's the reason why it says 3 and then 3, to show that they're different dinim, as one's a hedyu, one's a mumcha. El amarav tarti katani mishum de Rabbi Chanina. The reason why it was mentioned twice is because of the din of Rabbi Chanina. Who's Rabbi Chanina? So we saw in yesterday's daf that really me'ikar din, it's true that when it comes to all dini mamnas, just like din nefashos, you should require drishas v'chakiris, and you should also require mumchin. But because of kadesh latinol delas lifnei lavin, we don't want to make it more difficult for people, because people are just not going to want to lend out if you're making it all these restrictions and all these difficulties for a malva to get his money back. So that's the reason why it's mentioned over there. The truth is, midiraisa, you only need only one judge. But because of yoshi kranais, we require more. Says Rashi, Tigrin she'ein bekiyin, betiv dinin, v'yiskes achai v'chai v'sazakai. Even though maybe it's true 1 is enough, but it could be that one guy really doesn't know anything. So therefore, because of that, we are more strict to require 3. Ought do what? But Tlas have Yeshi Kranais. If you have one guy as an Amaret, so him with 2 other of his friends, how's that any better? So no. Which is actually shows that you read as a diarist. It's not shaykh. Can you imagine 3 people and one person knows how to learn, right? It must be that one of them must know. So if that's the case, why, when it comes to a hedyot, do we require that if they make a mistake that they have to pay? We should say they don't have to pay. Because a bigger issue of more Yoshi Kranais, because no one's going to care to learn. There's not going to be any incentive to learn, because they know that I don't have to pay anyway. So therefore, if you know that you have to pay, if you made a mistake, you're going to at least have some knowledge of what you're talking about. So Ma'ika bein Rav Rav Achabore Rav Ika. What is the difference between these 2 opinions? Because according to Rava, says Rashi, do you remember the Raisa Tlos Minan, that really technically you need 3, but it's just that we say, you know what, we'll be lenient and you only need 3 hedyoitais, and you go in the opposite direction. You say really 1 is enough, but because of Yoshvi Kranais, we require 3 hedyotos. And on the day, it's the same thing. So the nafkamina is, if midiraisa 1 is technically enough, so then 2 is fine. But if you hold that you need 3, then you need 3. Okay. Question 8. Ma nafkamina ib'inan v'hoidois lavois shoisha midiraisa b'derabanan. So again, im shtaim shadanu din oivoi. Weiter. So our Mishnah mentioned nezek, chatzi nezek, v'chu. So nezek kind of chavos. Understand that's a form of damage. So why does it mention that separately? Mishum de kaboy lemisnei chatzi nezek, because we want to mention the case of chatzi nezek paying half damages. So taninami nezek shalom. So chatzi nezek nami hainu chavolis, right? It's an ox that gores with its horn. It's still damaged. So tanim mayne v'katani kanasa. It mentions case of mamayin, and it mentions chatzi nezek, which is kanas. So hanicha man diyer merpagan niska kanasa, lo man diyer merpagan niska mamayin amalka memar. It's actually an afgami. Depends. Similar ideas going in opposite directions. One says that maker adin, the person should have to pay even the first time nezek shalem, but we're lenient and we say you only have to pay chatzi nezek, or we're lenient, which means it's mamayin. Or we can say Ramikar did, since the first time it happened, you shouldn't have to pay anything. But we kanas you, right? So Chatzi Nezek could be kanas or it could be mamoin. So if you hold that it's mamoin, so then what's the nafkim? Since it mentions these cases of paying double or stealing an ox or a sheep and then slaughtering, etc., or selling, the mamoin, as we continue to Gimel on the base, the mamoin shenu mishtalim b'roishu. This is money which is not mishtalim b'roish, which means you're not paying the karen. You're not only paying the principal. You're paying double. You're paying 4 and 5. Says Rashi, shemishalim yosim in a karen. You're paying more than the principal. So the moment shenu mishtalim b'roishu, because it's also a case where you're not paying the karen. You're only paying half of it. Question 9. Mehen shnei hadugmas b'momen shein mishtal b'roish denan masnisan. So, kefil dal v'hei, which is probably that only one should mention is one case, and chatzi nezek. Okay. Shloishim and so how do we know? As our Mishnah said, you have to have 3 judges when it comes to the imaminus, gzelos and chavolos. How do we know you need 3? The Tanabanim. The pasuk says, "V'nikra ba'is elokim." So that's one pasuk. Ad elokim di'avav shneim harikan shnayim. That's the second pasuk. Asher shen elokim harikan shloisha di'avav Rabbi Yeshaya. Rabbi Yeshaya has 3 psukim in which is an illusion of having judges, at least a judge. So therefore, since there's 3 psukim, you need 3 judges. Rabbi Yonasan Naimer Rishon Techil Nemra Ve'ein Darshan Techilos. The first one you can't learn out anything from. There's no drasha because it's not extra. Ella Adolokim Yavadavar Shneim Harikan Echad. Asher Shenolokim Harikan Shnaim. In based in Shakel Moisim Lenoid Echad. Harikan Shloisha. So the truth is they both hold 3. But the question is, can you learn out from all 3 psukim, or can you only learn out from the second and third pasuk, and then you say in based in Shakel? So name of B'darshan Techilos K'mefgi. The Marsa B'darshan Techilos, Marsa V'ein Darshan Techilos. There's Mar Sukkah with Rav Shimon. But so this maybe is the whole machlokas, right? If you are darshan tchilos, you can use all 3 psukim. Well, the kuliyam ain't darshan tchilos. So the question is, if you're not darshan tchilos, so then how is it possible that you can learn it out from these 3 psukim? The first pasuk, you can't learn anything out from. So Amar Lach or Yeshaya, because im keinim ekrav v'nikra b'al habayis el hashayfet ma'elokim shemam l'minyana. The fact is, it's not just stam written. It could be written in a specific way to tell us to include that. Okay, fine. For Rav Yonasan, according to Rav Yonasan, he'll say lishna de alma nakat. This is the normal way of the language, and therefore the fact that it says Elokim is not something you can actually darshan from. Get every inch, like people say, man, de isli dina likra v'gabi daina. Someone who needs to go to court, right? So therefore, that's the normal language. Okay. So anyway, so this is the machlokas. But again, it sounds like mikra din or maskana, the saif kol saif. There's no nafkamina. Rav Yeshaya leisu din based in night. To understand why do Rav Yeshaya need to learn out 3 different psukim? It must because he doesn't hold a based in night. Because he could have just said, you know what? Why do I have to come up with Elokim as an extra pasuk? No, just say that pasuk is nothing. You have 2 other psukim, and then you can hold to like Rabbi Yonasan that you can sustain based on shakel. So Rav Yeshaya basically based on naita. Vasanya Rabbi Lezer ben Aisha Rabbi Yosef Gali Aimer. Matam, what does pasuk mean when it says that you should lean toward the majority to do good? Hatar Amra Silucha based in naita. it's coming to tell you that the Beis Din should be an uneven number. So we see clearly that there's a concept of noita. So Savak Rabbi Yehuda Diamar Shivim. Maybe he doesn't hold like this. Maybe Hitaka doesn't require technically an even number, an odd number rather. Did not, because we saw by Rabbi Yehuda you only need 70, not 71. Sanhedrin Gadol Haisa Shel Shiva Echad Rabbi Yehuda Omer Shivim. Yeah, but Amor Deshamas Le Rabbi Yehuda. Maybe the only time Rabbi Yehuda says 70 is with Sanhedrin Gadol Ksivi Cry. Because you have a pasuk, it says Shivim Zakanim. So maybe only then does Rabbi Yehuda say that there's no din of ein based in Noita. Because the pasuk says it by a Sanhedrin Gedolah. So maybe Rabbi Yehuda holds that when it comes to other Bati Dinim, you have to have an odd number, like 23 or 3. Maybe you want to tell me Rabbi Yehuda doesn't make a distinction. That's not true. Patanan. Smichas Zakanim Rabbi Fasegula B'Shleish Rabbi Shem Rabbi Yehuda Omer B'Chamisha. Rabbi Yehuda said, and there's a machlokas whether it's 3 or 5, whether by smichas zakanim and arifas egla. So he says 5, which is an odd number. The Amrin and my time Rabbi Yehuda. Why does he say 5? The samchu shnaim, zikne shnaim, and then he says, here's the key line: vein based in shakel, harikan hey. So we see even Rabbi Yehuda holds that we see beferish that Rabbi Yehuda holds there is this concept of vein based in shakel. So you can't tell me, oh, maybe there's a distinction. So because maybe again, Rabbi Yehuda holds with Sanhedrin Gedolah, but the Beidina, it's possible there is a distinction, and you do need. So even if it's true by the Sanhedrin Gedolah, we find a shita that says 70. But why again, Rabbi Yeshaya would he not hold ein beis in shakel? Even Rabbi Yehuda holds ein beis in shakel. Just doesn't say it by 70 because the pasuk says. So Rabbi Yeshaya different Rabbi Yehuda. He's better, if you will. He's stronger. De'il Rabbi Yehuda b'Sanhedrin Gadol Huda leislei ha b'shar beidina islei. According to Rabbi Yehuda, he does make a distinction between the Sanhedrin Gedolah, which can be an even number, 70. But everything else, he holds ein beis in shakel. Rabbi Yeshaya b'shar beidina nami leislei. Rabbi Yeshaya doesn't hold of ein beis in shakel at all, and therefore that's the reason why he needed to use these psukim and the word Elokim. Ve'ela hai lintais my of the way. So what does he do with lintais? It sounds like a majority. So makam b'bedin nafashos of a b'bedin mamnas loy. He says that is referring to dini nafashos. You have to have an odd number. However, when it comes of innocent party, however, when it comes to mammon, even if it's an equal amount, says Rashi, bedini nefashos shetiskayim boy hatiyas l'tayva al pi echad. As long as you have one favorably, a small majority of saying he's in favor, 12-1, that's good enough. V'i havi zugais leka hatayva pachas mashtayim. And if there was zugais, it would have to be 2. In other words, it would end up being 2. There would be 2 more. So you can't find a simple majority in that situation. Okay, so Ella hadetanan back in the Gemara. Shnai ma'imrim zaka v'echad amir chayiv. Zakai. So if out of 3 people, 2 people say he's innocent, and 1 says he's chayiv, so we go with the majority. Shnai ma'imrim chayiv v'echad amir zaka chayiv. So lema d'lo Rabbi Yeshaya. So according to this L'chaira, is not in accordance to Rabbi Yeshaya. Says Rashi, Rabbi Yeshaya kivan d'shlishi mikra yolef l'hu. He's learning out from these psukim. V'amisham naita sarsh tehei dash shlosh and shava. It sounds like you have to have all 3 judges have to say the same thing. Now, if you tell me Rabbi Yeshaya, ma'asila b'kav l'chaymer b'dini nefashos ma'dini nefashos d'chamiri. Zil Basaruba. So he says when it comes to Din Nefashos, you go Basaroiv. So Din Mamnus Kol Koshikain. So why would we be more strict when it comes to Din Mamnus? And therefore by Din Mamnus, Din is also, we go after the majority. Okay, let's look at question 10. Acharabim lahatais. Hatar Amr Asalachad based in Noita. Is based in Yaitzim in a klal. The answer shehi Noita liv Rabbi Yehuda. So that's the Sanhedrin Gedolah. You only need 70. The is based in Koi Kra liv Rabbi Yeshaya sarich shehi Noita v'shar ein sarich. So according to Yeshaya, he says it's only referring to dinin and fashais, and that's it. Okay. Fine. All right, we're up to 2 dots. Let's look at a couple questions before we go weiter. We're going to see a little bit more, but let's see. Question TA 11 again. Madua bedini hoidas v'avoy sarach gimel dayanim hari kra elokim nemer b'gzelos v'chavalos. So one is nuraisa because of eruv parshiyos or because of yoshvi kranais. Okay. So let's mark that down. Where is yoshvi kranais? Mel mishum yoshvi kranais. So this is TA 11. TA 12. Aleba de Rabbi Shaya de Gimel Elokim Ksiba Parsha Madua Lusagi Bebeis being based in Shokel. So Svirle de Rak Benefashis being in Shlehe Shokel. Okay, he said only holds when it comes to din nefashos this. Okay, let's look over here. It says, right. So my oven lays moikel bedini nefashos. This is similar to question 10. This is TA 12. I got this wrong actually. He makes a distinction between din nefashos and din mominus. Okay. Question TB 13. Mahu Mamachin Mishtal Baraish. Okay, so that was actually question 9. So this is TB 13, which was Kefel, Dalad Vahey, as well as Chatinezek. Okay, that's not Mishtal Baraish. Okay, let's continue. Tan Rabbanon. That's probably going to be it for the questions. Let's continue. Tan Rabbanon. Dini Mominus B'Shleisha Rabbi Yomer B'Chamisha 5. Kadei Shigmar Hadin B'Shleisha. So you finish up with 3. I'll do what? But Talasa Miloi Garmadin B'Tarti. I understand if there's 3, you still have Rov. If you have 2, right? 2 is the majority. So Achagamar Memnesha Gemar Din B'Shleisha. Since you have Gemar Din with 3, Al Maksaver Talasa Kiksivi. 3 is the way it's written in the pasuk. But Gemar Din Ksivi. It's referring to Gemar Din. In other words, you have to have 5. And then you have to have, the psukim sound like you have to have 3 people that agree to one another. And therefore, that could only take place if there's 5. So you'll have a majority of 3 based on a 5. So Megadiv bar Ravoy. So Ravoy started kind of speaking disparagingly about this pshat. El miyata tehei Sanhedrin gadol sricha me'ev arboyim ve'echad. So 71 shouldn't be enough. You should have 141. Kadei shigmar hadin b'shivim echad. So you have 71 people saying yes. Tehei Sanhedrin katana sricha arboyim ve'chamisha. Instead of 23, you should have 45. Kadei shigmar hadin b'shlosh ve'esrim. That doesn't make sense. El asli shivim isham rachman 70. Mishasa sifa shivim. Just as long as you have 70 at the time of the asifa, that's all you need. You don't need to have more at the end. Mishafta edav etzil edav nami b'shas shvitas ha'edah. You only need 3, so understand what is your svarv requiring 5. Time of the Rabbi. Rather, the reason why Rabbi comes up with this interesting svarv requiring 5 is for the following, because the pasuk says like this: Asher Yershun Elokim. So it says Elokim, which is lashon Rabbim. Sorry, that's Trey. Nemar Elokim Lomata, and Nemar Elokim Lomata. It says it above and it says it below. So Rashi brings us down. Lomata Yeshun Elokim Lomaila Ad Elokim Yavadavar Shnehem. Okay, so it says it twice, and each one implies 2. So we should say Malo Mata Shnaim Avlo Malo Shnaim and based on Shok was even the little Echad Harikan Chamisha. So that's the reason why he requires 5. Okay, we're gonna stop there. So look at Rabbi Giver's questions. So I don't know why I got this wrong. Why do you not need mumchin begimel dayanim? So I wrote the Rabbanan Shloitin Odelis, and I wrote really 1 is enough, but we require 3 because Yoshi Kranais. Okay, I'm not sure why he marked that wrong. Okay. How do we know you need 3? Either because the psukim are said 3 times, so it's 3, or really only 2 psukim, and then we say in based in shakel, so it becomes 3. Good. Question 5. Lomas Vili Rebbe Bedini Mominus Bechamisha Lafia Havamina. So it says the word Lashon Rabim, which means 2 plus 2, and then based in Shakal. That's actually the Maskana. Okay. That was the Maskana. The Havamina is because it says you have 3, you have to have 3 people at the end who are going to end up saying that the person is innocent. Adkan.